I'm Rosie Hardy, this is Rosie Hardy Gardening. We had quite a few comments after all of the questions in August, so we thought we'd just do you an extra 8 questions. I've just randomly picked a few. Do you find the newer types of Echinacea come back well? There are some really beautiful Echinaceas that are being bred, and unfortunately in the UK some of them just don't like to return back in the following year. They are perennial, but it's the more fancy ones, so the double-headed ones quite often, and some of the more extreme different colours. So when you're choosing an Echinacea for the UK, choose ones which have got a lovely strong colour but not too off the pink or white streams, and make sure they've got a slightly tough, almost leathery, hairy leaf, and those come back much better. Another one here, when is the best time to divide your plants? So when you've got herbaceous perennials, there are a rule of thumb: if it flowers in the spring, split it in the autumn. If it flowers in the autumn, split it in the spring. However, if you have a frost pocket garden, I would always recommend splitting in the spring. Hope that helps you. What is the best time to move dwarf conifers, please? Right, so lifting and moving dwarf conifers should happen in the autumn. This means that they are lifted when the soil is warm, they get replanted into warm soil, they have time to settle, and then they grow through and will grow well in the spring. Now the thing to do though is you need to prepare them. If the dwarf conifer is in a container, that's no problem. If they're in the ground, go to them, chop around the outside of the plant so you're making a decent sized root ball and you're just cutting the edge roots. This will prepare them, give them a bit of water and leave them for perhaps 10-14 days, and then after that period then lift them, and they will not have quite so much of a shock, then moving on into the new area where you want to put them. This one is somebody made the mistake of having some small plants, potting them both into quite large container, 63 by 63 centimetres, so a decent sized container. However, the plants chosen were a hydrangea and an elderflower, both of which are going to get too big, and they've realised this. Not only that, the medium that they used in the container sank quite a lot. So the best thing to do, when should they move the hydrangea? I would say do it all now, but don't just think about taking the hydrangea out and then what on earth you do with it. I would take both plants out, split the hydrangea away from the elderberry, fill up the base of the container with a more medium, then put the elderberry back into the centre of the container, fill up around, and you will find that you won't have so much of a downfill then. The hydrangea can then be moved to its new location and both plants will be happy. Any particular variety of Allium that doesn't need a cold period? This person lives in Florida 9B zone and it's subtropical. I'm terribly sorry, but nearly all Alliums require a cold period. The only one that doesn't is Allium tuberosum. This comes from Asia and is also known as garlic chives, but it could be incredibly similar to the one that you've already found. So I'm sorry, the only way that you could do it is by having one of the new perennial types, growing it in a container, flowering it, and then moving it somewhere cold, like a cold store or something like that. But that's a real faff, I'm sorry. Hi Rosie, I've taken cuttings, Gora hydrangea and Verbena bonariensis. Thought I'd taken them from non-flowering tips, but now I find that they've got flowers on them. So wanting to know whether they should pinch them out now. I would say no. If they're new cuttings, they won't be rooting yet. And if you go and try and take that top tip off, they won't have the hormone to be able to provide the roots. If they've rooted, then yes, by all means do so. Wait a couple of weeks, then give them a pinch down and they should be perfectly okay. The last one I've got here is they live in Norfolk, the UK, which to everybody out there is zone 8B, means it gets down to -9 to -6 centigrade. Got an unheated greenhouse and got cuttings and potted up plants that want to overwinter. Is that a good enough place to overwinter them here in the UK? I would say yes, but I would take a little bit more of a precaution, and I would actually remember to put a little bit of horticultural fleece inside or bubble wrap inside just to give a little bit of help. But do remember when you are overwintering in a greenhouse to ventilate. Even when it is freezing cold for a period, after that cold period, ventilate the greenhouse. That's the key thing to overwintering in an unheated greenhouse. I hope this has answered all of your questions. Please do subscribe to the channel.